Hello everyone, welcome to the RMIT Racing information presentation for Open Day Semester 2 in 2021. Let's get straight into it. So who are we? RMIT Racing is a Formula student club that was founded in 1999. This is our 22nd year of Formula SAE at RMIT. The two pictures you see here, on the left is our very first RMIT racing car, and on the right is our latest RMIT racing car, the 2019 combustion class. So from these two pictures, you can obviously see the development that has gone into this and the investment to grow from, what you see on the left to what you see on the right, to completely high-tech materials, leading state-of-the-art, I'm talking carbon fiber, titanium, 3D printed aluminium, and other very, very cool bits. This is to be expected, but this is just a little blast of the past to show you how far we've come in just 20 years, and to show that where we are going to be in 5 years, no one knows. The level of development that has occurred recently at RMIT Racing is on an unprecedented scale. So we are here to show you the opportunities that can happen if you join our club, and the place to be if you are interested in engineering and want to develop all your skills. So I'll go over a little bit about what Formula SAE actually is. This photo you see below is from Winton 2019, where teams from all around the world compete at the Australian competition. Winton's just a couple hours north, if you didn't know, of Melbourne, about 2 and a bit hours in the local area of Benalla. Now what happens here is teams come together for a 4-day weekend where there's a series of competitions. So we have a few static events, a few dynamic events. The static events such as business presentation, cost, and design presentation allow us to showcase the very technical aspects of our car, and what we really like to do there is show everyone how we made our car, what's all the exciting technologies and everything cool about it. And then you move into your dynamic competitions where the car's moving. So these are all your races. You have your acceleration run, you have your skid pad run, as well as autocross and endurance. Formula SAE is the largest engineering competition in the world, bar none. So what that means is, by experiencing and participating in Formula SAE, you are competing against thousands and thousands of other members who are engineers and other kind of university students who are just here to learn and have a good time. RMIT Racing is actually one of the most decorated and best Formula student clubs ever to exist in the world. Now I can say this as a fact because RMIT Racing has gone on to win the World Championship in Formula SAE in 2006-2007. What this means is the vehicle we built in 2006-2007 went to all 4 leading competitions all over the world and won them all. That is the Australian competition, the German competition, the UK competition, and the US competition in Michigan. To go to all 4 and win all of those makes your car and that team a world champion. There has only been a handful of world champions ever in the existence of Formula Student in its 20-year career, and I'm extremely proud to say that RMIT Racing is one of them. This is why we are regarded in such a this is why we are held in such high regard all over the world and in Australia, where RMIT shows if they invest in us, the outcomes are very tangible for us and RMIT as well. So why do we exist? Based on what I just told you, you'd think it'd be about winning, but that's actually not on any of the points we want. The main reason we exist is to learn. Learning is it is our key philosophy essentially. So what we are here for is to make sure our members learn and grow on a professional, but not only professional, also a personal level. So this is very important to us as a club, and that's why it is one of our key points of existence. It is not a racing team to win races, firstly and foremostly. It is a racing team and club at RMIT to facilitate learning for its members. The second point about why we exist is industry level experience. So we actually operate as a racing team, as a real business. We deal with outside sponsors, we deal with internal sponsors and staff. We communicate in a very professional and experienced manner, in that sense that when you're applying, and at some stage you will be applying for the upper echelon of jobs, not just in motorsport but anywhere else as well, in engineering or elsewhere, people will be asking what you did at uni that wasn't part of your course. This is the star in your cap that will make you shine. I know from experience that plenty of job applications in Formula One explicitly state that being a part of a Formula student team has significant benefit to your application. This goes in all levels of motorsport, obviously, where they want this experience of already participating in such an environment. The last point is making lifelong friends. So another part of RMIT Racing, which is really fantastic, is the community and the members, because the members make the club. Now, we have a vast array of alumni from RMIT Racing that are all over the globe in all levels of motorsport, from Formula One to V8 supercars to all other industries. Obviously plenty in Holden Ford before Holden dissolved in Australia. But a key point is here you will have the opportunity to spend a lot of time and work with people that are very like-minded, are focused on the same sort of things as you are, and will be able to make lifelong friends. This is very important in university, as a lot of people tout that this is one of the best times of your life, that you should be experiencing lots of different things and making those lifelong friends. So it's really key, and it is something we do as a club very, very well. So what are our values? Our values are to innovate, educate, and collaborate. So these are very key to who we are and our design decisions, as well as what we like to be as a club. Obviously, values are something that a very real business company would have, and as such, we also have them because we definitely like to think that we are very much a very real business, and we run like it. So RMIT Racing has always been innovative. We always put the highest level of technology on our car because that's how you learn. You learn by making mistakes and by doing things that are at the forefront of what they are. So using next level and next generation materials such as carbon fiber, we can 3D print titanium, we have titanium exhaust chambers, our whole car is super light, and RMIT Racing has always brought a car to competition that is innovative. So no matter what happens during the year, our car always goes to competition being one of the coolest and most new technology possessing cars. That's because what we do as a team helps everyone facilitate that. The second point is educate. So this doesn't just go for our members, as I showed you earlier and I spoke about earlier. The education spreads to everyone. So Formula Student is a competition as such, but we are also here to kind of learn, and other teams are here to learn. So we like to impart that upon everyone that we can, and as well as receive it from everyone that we can. So that includes things like at competition helping other teams, but also in our community, helping out with different places at our local go-kart track and everywhere else like that. And the last point, collaborate. Touches on a little what I went over earlier, not just with other teams, but internally. Now, collaboration is very important, not just as a skill in high school or university or your workplace, but as a lifelong skill. So collaboration is one of the key fundamentals that will let you do whatever you want. And now in university, you may experience, collaboration on a scale of, 2 to 3, maybe 5 people in a group project. But this is a scale that's entirely different. I'm talking we have 50, 60 members actively participating, which you'll need to collaborate with on a regular basis, because everyone's going to be doing different things and you need to know, right, what's happening around whatever you are doing specifically. So this level of collaboration is on a completely different scale to what you'll experience in uni, and it's completely invaluable to learn. So it's one of our key values. So what's our philosophy? So we'll go from our values to our philosophy. This is our car design philosophy. So what we want is to build a car that's high performing, very reliable, and very serviceable. Now, if you think these are all kind of contradictory, I'm here to tell you that they are, and that's by design. So a high performing car, or the highest performance car, is not necessarily going to be very reliable or serviceable. And neither is a very reliable car going to be the most high performing or serviceable, and likewise with serviceability. Now, the point of having three contradicting statements in our philosophy is so we can find the best compromise. So we have a high performing car that is reliable and very serviceable. And that is the reason why everything works together in a homogeneous fashion. So being a very high performing car while being reliable and serviceable means we are already at the forefront, or we're designing to be at the forefront of the competition, right? So we aren't here to place mid-pack or something. This shows that we are ready and we want to fight at the top, as we always have done and we always will do. So that's our design philosophy behind building the car. So now I want to tell you a little bit about our big events. Now that I just told you about the team, time to tell you about what the team does. So our two huge events during the year, during a calendar year, is the FSA Australasian competition, which I spoke a little bit about earlier, where all the teams from worldwide will collaborate in Australia over a 4-day weekend. We go camping, we have lots of fun, and most importantly, we realize the work that we've been doing for the better part of a year into action. The second part is the F1 Australian GP. So RMIT Racing is actually the only club in the whole world, right? The only club in the whole world that gets to drive on an F1 track during an F1 weekend. Now that is incredibly special, and I'm incredibly privileged to not just be a part of the team during this time, but to be driving the car during this time on the track, because it's an opportunity afforded to so few people. The reason for this is our ex-Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Martin Bean. He had a connection in Formula One with a person called Adrian Newey. Now, if you know anything about Formula One, Adrian is a very powerful man, and this is the reason why this happens for us. Other teams race on Formula One tracks during their competition stuff, but never during a Formula One weekend. So it's an incredibly privileged position that we're in, and it's absolutely awesome. It's an absolutely awesome thing to participate in. So now that I've told you a little bit about what our big events are, I want to show you. So first we'll start off with our 2019 launch video. This is how we tell the world we're ready and we've got a car and it's coming for you and it's coming to win the competition. So sit back and enjoy. So that one always gets me very excited, and as you can understand, it's a very, very cool video. So in 2019, that car set the record Australian acceleration run in combustion. Let me show you what that means.
It's not what we're seeing this today. I think it's not perfect conditions for doing these runs. And we see here two cars in Monash and RMIT with similar engines, very different tyres, and still doing similar times.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how the mixture of compromise can end up with the same answer, or very near to.
They look like they're staged pretty far back from those cones, so I don't know whether that's staging on the door ends or whether they're... I think this might be it.
Oh, that is
3.757. That is, as far as I'm aware, the record acceleration run at Formula SAEA. What a run.
That was an absolute ripper.
So this one is extremely special. What you just witnessed was the fastest ever run done by a combustion car in the Australian competition in its history. So obviously that's a very, rewarding thing to get, and it's incredibly hard. So it's just a very proud moment for the whole team to be able to say that we built and delivered on such an impressive kind of result. Would end up with obviously a first place in this event due to that record run. Right, and the next things I want to show you base around our Australian GP. Some of our videos from there. This happened in 2020, so early 2020, just before lockdown, and we've got some really, really cool stuff to show you, so I'll get straight to it. And we'll keep going. We've got a few videos, but they're all quite short. And last one, I believe. Right, so now that you've seen what the team can do and what it has done in the past, let's focus on what it means to be a member, to join and be a part of everything I just showed you. So what you do is, we generally join a system, so each new person joins a system, but the best part is you don't only have to work for one, so you can work for as many systems as you want. The only problem is basically workload and time, so that's different for everyone, but most people start off with one system, but from there you can move to another system or not. I'll show you what it means in a few seconds to know what the actual individual systems are. So what it means when you are in a system is you have weekly meetings with your system leads. So your system leads will go over everything that system needs to do for the next week, what's stopping you from doing it, what you're doing for the week after that, and any support you might need. So this is a very cool system we've developed with some really neat agile methodologies as a as a team. So it's not just the team members that learn and grow, but the actual team does itself as well as its processes. So that's what it means to be agile. It's at the very forefront of basically being a company. If a company is agile, it's continuously improving. What that also means is we have weekly full team meetings. So these are development meetings for our current and next gen cars if there's an overlap in our cycles. So we call them VDM, so vehicle development meetings, and this encompasses the whole team. So where the team will give full updates on where the car is, how the systems are integrating together, if there's any hole blockers that we can't get rid of, that we need to help with, anything like that, that gets brought up at the full team meetings, and they currently are occurring on Mondays and Wednesdays for the 22 and 21 car respectively. What this also means to be a member is, opportunity to get involved academically. So usually this is a voluntary only thing. You won't get academic credit for it. That means it's something you do next to uni. But what we've done recently is integrate it with our uni courses. So that's our capstone. So if you're in engineering, you'll have a final year project you'll need to do. So your FYP. And what a lot of team members have done recently, currently, and will do in the future is do your final year project on the car. For me, for example, I'm doing aerodynamic validation this year on the racing team. So I'm actually getting credit and marks for the work I'm doing on the racing team, which is absolutely awesome. Auto 1931 is another course led by our faculty supervisor, Rory Gover, Dr. Rory Gover that is, and that is a 1 semester course. So capstone is over a full year, so 2 semesters worth of credits. Auto actually extends that into 3 semesters. So traditionally, Auto 1931 is done just before your capstone semester, your first capstone semester, so it leads into a full project scope. And again, you will get the full 1 course load of credit points for working on the racing team, which is absolutely sensational. Not only that, there's also opportunities for postgraduate researchers, and that's masters by research, as well as your PhD, your doctorate studies. There's opportunities for doing that sort of stuff on the racing team if you're so inclined. So what it means is that you can do whatever interests you as well as helps the team. So that's very, very important to us, that everyone is doing what is actually interesting to them, because then there's a passion in it, there's a vigor to get it done. Whereas if there is something that's being done which isn't as exciting as you think, or is perhaps in the wrong area of interest, it's not going to be done to the same level, and we absolutely understand that. So the members get to choose where they are and what they do to help the team, which is absolutely critical. Obviously, the exact activities you do depend on the current development cycle and which system you are in. So to go over the systems briefly, we have a few technical as well as non-technical systems. So our technical systems start with our aerodynamics package, then our chassis, our electronics, powertrain, vehicle dynamics, and finally our driverless system, which is very, very cool. Our non-technical system, so we have graphic design, we have media, we have business, and heaps more in management as well, where we expand on and contribute to the running of the team in general instead of just the car. So now I'll expand a little bit on the technical systems, as that's what usually draws people in, but to say non-technical is also fine. It's important to note that we don't expect anyone to be doing any specific degrees to join the systems, to join the technical systems, that is. You don't have to be doing an aerospace degree to join the aerodynamic system. In fact, you don't even have to do an engineering degree to join any of the technical systems. Obviously, this means there will be a little bit more reading and research to get everyone up to the same kind of speed, because people who are doing engineering will have a little bit more background into that through their university coursework, but mostly everything we do is taught on the team. So anyone with a passion and eagerness to learn is welcome to join. So we'll start with aerodynamics. RMIT runs a complete aero system, so that's a front wing, a rear wing, side wings, as well as a full diffuser. Now this isn't done everywhere. One, because it's a very, very expensive and hard to simulate area, so it's very hard to get right. But the benefit is it's a high investment area, so the return on investment is really, really high in terms of performance. So you get a lot of performance out of your aero packages that you might not get from your other systems, because the aero package will determine how far up the podium you get. So all the other systems will get you up to the podium, your aero will determine how far up the podium you get. So it's very, very important, obviously. Our aero system is made out of carbon fiber fairly exclusively. Obviously, you have some mounting and bolts and nuts and stuff that aren't made of carbon fiber, but as a result, it is extremely light. So all of the aero package weighs, in 2019, just 19 kilos, which is incredibly, incredibly lightweight. We do a lot of CFD, which you see on the bottom right, which is your computational fluid dynamics. So we run a lot of simulations to see what our aero package should be doing, and how it should be performing and how to tune it. So make small changes here, which you can't really do in real life, because then you'd have to manufacture a whole new part, test it in a wind tunnel, all that sort of stuff. Speaking of wind tunnels, we do test in wind tunnels. RMIT has a full-scale wind tunnel where we can put the whole car in and get some really, really cool data, as well as we do on-track testing for our aero to validate. To make sure basically the aero package is working the same online in our simulations as it is in real life, which is obviously very important, because if you can't have faith in your simulations, then you don't know what you're designing to. So on the top right, I forgot to mention, that's our single piece. So that's one piece carbon fiber diffuser, and it's absolutely massive. And that was for our 2019 car. No other team had a single piece diffuser, just because it's so incredibly hard to manufacture, but we did anyway because we saw the benefits. And again, that's another reason we are the team we are. As I said, one of our key values is to innovate, and this is how you do it, by building a single piece diffuser for that year. Our next system is chassis. So we again have extensive use of carbon fiber. These are hand built every year. So depending on the method, these can take anywhere from 300 to 1200 hours just on the chassis alone. So this integrates with every aspect of the body, every aspect of the vehicle, and is the body of the vehicle. So your aerodynamics will connect to this, so will your powertrain, your VD, your electronics will obviously sit inside of it. As a result, this is one of the hardest areas to design because it has to accommodate everything else. What you see here is on the top right is finishing the chassis, so we're just doing some final touches to it. Again, these photos are from 2019 because we're currently in the process of the 2021 car. And on the bottom right, you see it being vacuum bagged. So the process of this one, it is a carbon fiber sandwich panel. Now it's funny I call it a sandwich panel, but that's sort of what the construction looks like. So we have carbon fiber skin on the outside, an aluminium core, so that adds stiffness in the direction where carbon fiber particularly isn't the best, so at the bending, and we have another layer of carbon fiber. Now this is a very common composite manufacturing technique that's done globally by all composite leaders. So I'm talking in next generation aircraft to race cars, is done everywhere, these kind of sandwich panels, because they provide extremely stiff, rigid and torsional structures. So next we have our powertrain package. So we're currently in a cycle of using the single cylinder motorcycle engine called from the Duke. It's a 690cc and the engine code is LC4 from KTM, as you can see there. So we actually basically take the engine and gearbox from the from the motorbike and do everything else ourselves. So we have a custom carbon fiber intake, so extremely lightweight and high performing. So building your own intake will actually increase the power of the engine. We have our own titanium exhaust, so extremely lightweight. Again, by designing it properly using Ricardo wave simulations, we can actually increase the power of the engine. We have automatic shifting, so that is, we have a solenoid plugged into the gearbox shifter, the gearbox lever, and on the steering wheel we have a flappy paddle, basically gearbox, so that allows us to just click it. The electronics will then feed it into the engine. It'll hit the gear lever while it's cutting the engine or blipping the engine, depending on an upshift or downshift, and that will change gear basically without using the clutch. So we do have a clutch, but it's only used to get off the line, and after we're moving, we actually don't need the clutch at all to change gears, which is extremely exciting. Not only that, we have a completely custom final drive ratio. So obviously, as motorbikes, are very fast these days, we don't need all of that speed, so we've actually changed the gearing excuse me, we've actually changed the gearing such that it's more suited to our kind of competition, so it accelerates harder than a motorbike would. As you saw in that acceleration run, we are 0 to 100 in just over 3 seconds, which is amazingly high performing. You'll have cars north of $100,000, $200,000 that, just to get up to 3 seconds 0 to 100. Not only that, we run E85, so that's 85% ethanol fuel. It runs a lot cooler than your pump gas, even your 98. So it runs a lot cooler, it gives that engine even more power again, keeps everything nice and temperature controlled. On top of that, we completely tune it ourselves. So the tune you get from KTM, if you're into engines at all, basically we throw that away and tune the whole engine ourselves. It's very, very cool. We use an engine dyno as well as a full car chassis dyno to tune the engine, and yeah, that's how we extract the maximum performance. So obviously this is the heart of the vehicle, that's what makes it go. As such, it's held in very high regard, and it's one of the most powerful packages, not just in Australia, but in the world. Moving on to our electronics. So we use a custom built loom, so everything we do ourselves, using aftermarket ECU from Motec. We use a Motec M150, if you know what that is. It's a very, very nice ECU. That's an electronic computer unit for cars, and that basically controls the engine. Our car has a vast array of sensors. We have tire temperature, tire pressure sensors using infrared technology as well. So we measure inside the carcass as well as surface temperatures. We have exhaust O2, so oxygen level in your exhaust. We call them lambda sensors that measure the air and fuel mixture coming out of the engine to make sure we got a clean burn. We have a GPS. We have developed a GPS this year that is accurate. Now, I'm not going to say this wrong. This is accurate to 14 millimeters. Now think about that, 14 millimeter accuracy for a GPS. It is absolutely sensational from our electronics team to develop something like that. That was an absolutely awesome achievement. We also have an internal measurement unit, so that's IMU, so that tells you what the car's doing in and of itself, and we can combine that with the GPS data to tell us everything that's going on. We have ride height sensors that are attached on the four corners of the car that tell us what the car is doing. In addition, we also have shock sensors, so that's linear potentiometers. They record the travel of the shock, so again we can get another reading for ride height and shock travel. We have all the critical fluid temperature and pressure sensors, obviously. We have accelerometers on the uprights to tell us exactly what we're doing. We put strain gauges on our suspension and drive shafts to make sure the strain we measure is accurate to, again, our simulation, so we can keep making the car lighter and better. Yeah, so what you see on the right is where the electronics loom will be installed, and what you see on the bottom is the electronics loom laid out on a large printed board, so we can make it exactly to specification. So obviously it's the brain of the vehicle, and it controls basically everything that goes on. And then our vehicle dynamics. So this encompasses our tires, our suspension, the brakes, the steering, so everything that basically connects the car to the ground. Now, it's funny because a lot of people think vehicle dynamics doesn't have too much bearing on the car performance, but this actually puts all the performance you have on the car onto the road. So you can have a stellar car everywhere else. You have the best aero package, the most powerful engine, the lightest, stiffest chassis, and the smartest electronic loom. But if you don't have a good VD package, your car's not going to be fast. So this is the basis of performance. If you don't have a good VD package, your car's just not going to perform. As a result, we design our VD package in-house. We have custom carbon fiber suspension arms, as you can see on the top right and bottom right, mounted to the car. We use Cane Creek shocks, so that's air shocks for our dampers. We use anti-roll bars, adjustable geometry, so we have toe, camber. We can change everything like that. We can change our spring rate, as well as some of our heave and jounce settings. So actual adjustable physical geometry as well, which is really, really cool. So obviously this is one of our most important areas in design, because if we don't get this right, the rest of the car, no matter how good it is, simply won't be going anywhere. So next we have our driverless program. So we are currently building our prototype. We have LiDARs, IMUs, and GPSs. We have stereo cameras. We're using all the existing sensors on the car, as well as a few more actuators to turn the steering wheel and hit the brakes. So driverless, in terms of driverless programs, RMIT Racing is once again leading the world. As I said, innovative. So we are leading the world. Basically, there's only a few teams in the world that are developing this, relatively compared to the amount of teams there are in the world. And as a result, it's a very hard process, because unlike building and racing a car, which we've been doing for 21, 22 years, this is what we're doing is for the first time. So it's a very new thing we're doing. It's very new to us, but you know what? It's absolutely sensational. Inside of our driverless, we actually have three subsystems. We have perception, so that's taking in what the car should be seeing. We have actuation, which is making the car do things, and then path planning, which you can see on the right. So that's detecting the cones, detecting the cones from the perception system, taking that data and telling the car where it should be, telling that to the actuation system, which makes the car where it should be. So again, this is a very, very cool system, and only a few teams in the world are doing it, which is absolutely awesome that we're one of them. So rounding off, we have expectations for you. So we want a few hours of active work on the project a week. So that's usually, we recommend 1 day of work inside our workshop. We call it the office, but it's really a workshop per week. Reminding you that it is in Bandura, so it's not in the city campus. We are out in Bandura campus, so it's a little bit further away on public transport or in a car as well. But yeah, a few hours of active work, so that's 1 day in the workshop, and then availability online. So all of our meetings, obviously due to the current situation, but also while we're allowed on campus, occur online. That allows people who aren't physically at Bandura to also join, which is absolutely awesome. We also have an expectation that you are willing to learn and work on self-improvement, so that's academically, personally, and professionally, as I said earlier, which is generally career orientated. So that is very important for us, because it's one of our key tenets, and that's what makes the team so special. Not only that, we have to make sure that you're passionate about what you do, and that feeds very much into the willingness to learn. So it's really important for us, but it doesn't absolutely have to be at race cars. As long as you love the work you do and you put a high level of kind of commitment into it, that's kind of all we were expecting. A side note here is that you won't be able to drive the car instantly if that's what you were thinking. So I've just written a kind of sub note here to make sure. You have to first of all contribute and be a strong member of the team, as well as a fast driver in a go-kart, to be given a chance to drive. So if you're only here to drive the car, then apologies, because this isn't the place for you. First and foremost, we are a club that is here to learn. We're not a racing team. As much as we like to call ourselves a racing team, first and foremost, we are here to learn, and that's what we do in uni. So if you're coming here just to drive, I'm sorry, but this isn't just the place for you. But you will be given a chance to drive if you're a high contributing member and you are pretty good in a go-kart. There's no reason why you can't expect to go in the car. So then finally, obviously, if we have expectations for you, it goes both ways. You should have expectations for us. Now, we are here to provide fair opportunities for everyone. That is a chance to learn and improve your personal, team, and professional skills, as I've been over several times now. You'll have a chance to design parts outside a classroom and actually see them come to fruition, get tested, validated, break or not, doesn't really matter, because it matters quite a lot, obviously, but you'll see them being made and used in real life, and you'll understand the full process of a design cycle of just one part and the whole car as a result. A lot of different things like design for manufacture and that sort of stuff. Not only that, if you show you're invested in the team, we're going to support you to do exactly what you wish, which is develop new methods, processes, and parts. We've had several key kind of projects which have come from an interest from our members, such as carbon fiber wheels, brand new engine settings, all that sort of stuff. So these sort of stuff, different wing manufacturing methods, carbon fiber fuel tanks, for example. So we're here to fully support what you do. If you show us, it is absolutely part of what we are. It's innovative, it's high performing, it's reliable, or serviceable, you know. So that's the expectation, is we will allow you to do what you want on the team. That's all from me. So thank you very much. I hope you can consider joining RMIT Racing. We would absolutely love to have you, no matter where in university you are. If you're just joining as well, that is absolutely okay. Thank you very much for listening in, and if you do decide to join, just go to our website, rmitracing.com, and just hit the join us button. You'll fill out a form, and that'll go straight through to me, and I'll be in touch with you. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.